The Japanese call it the herbivore man. We would call it the soft man or the womanly man. The Japanese call it the carnivorous woman. This is a role-reversed woman, a manly woman. They're saying that the woman is now rejecting the herbivore man. But our society and the feminist agenda is creating the herbivore man in droves. It's in the media, it's on TV, it's on commercials, it's in movies to teach you and to indoctrinate you into being the herbivore man. If you're young and sexually active, you should get married. There's studies about the age of sexual activity amongst the young people. And here it is, what's wrong with society and what's wrong with the way humans are now interacting with each other, males and females. You used to have what is called a sexual teacher. In the rest of the world, this is seen as a necessary for boys for a good marriage. Because of the prudish church doctrine in America, it is seen as bad, and they are called prostitutes, and prostitutes are looked down upon and illegal in most states. Many women have told me they hate men who don't know how to have sex or are terrible in bed. This was the role of the sexual teacher. Sexual teacher was specifically designed to make the boy know sex and be good for his future bride. Women destroyed the practice, not understanding it was their own undoing, thinking it was unholy. Of course, the Bible contradicts itself on the issue of prostitutes, and prostitutes are even revered as heroes in the Bible. Go figure. The church preaching against prostitutes and against sexual teachers destroyed itself by inadvertently creating unhappy marriages, which then led to divorce, which is a sin. A man who was trained by a sexual teacher was of the mind that his learning was to please the woman in the best possible way. With the absence of the sexual teacher, the notion that the bedroom is supposed to be a selfless, and the marriage in general is supposed to be selfless, place to give pleasure to the other partner died. When therapists started offering sexual teaching, it exploded, and it was on TV in no time, offering sexual lessons to the masses. When male prostitutes became more accepted, men hired them for their wives as sexual teachers for the wives. Women even hired them to teach themselves how to be sexual and perform better for their husbands or their potential husbands. In particular, I saw a show where the woman hired a male prostitute specifically so that she could capture a husband because she wanted to be married with children. Obviously, it is a much needed service and changes marriage from a selfish endeavor to one giving both for the husband and wife, mother and father, who then see that marriage is for the children, not the couple, because ultimately having enjoyable sex is for creating children. Sex used to be a chore for couples. It used to be so looked down upon that it was considered filthy and a chore and bad, and women and men just did it out of necessity because of sexual frustrations. The U.S. is not among the countries with the earliest age at which people become sexually active. Surprisingly, 19 years old is the average age Americans lose their virginity, while Australia, it's 16. The U.S. is one of the least sexually active countries, having sex less than once a week. Note that married couples have sex nearly every day, and some couples have sex 2 times a day. So that number mixed in with the general population means that there are a lot of people not having sex at all. Humans are not instinctual creatures, but the sex drive is a natural phenomenon that pushes the human to procreate. It is society that has put all of these restrictions on itself, the worst of these being, in my opinion, not getting married, quote, too young. Nature says that the human is ready to start reproducing when puberty hits. Throughout history, this was the age in which humans got married, not 20 years later. Because of these restrictions, a lot of ills in society, including male and female rape, pedophilia, and note that not every person who has sex with a young person is the instigator. The teenager has a sex drive too, remember? Also, feelings of sexual frustration that leads to other odd behavior, including criminal activity in both men and women. As crazy as that sounds to Americans, think on this. There are some Asian countries where the first time sex happens is at around age 30. Does that sound crazy to you? I personally think that we should lower the age at which we accept as a society people getting married, i.e. 16 years old. I think it would completely cure a lot of problems in our society. First of all, we have to completely eradicate this third wave feminist activity that's going on. And for you women who don't understand what third wave means, third wave is the feminism that came about at the end of the 60s, early 70s, in where they intentionally changed the doctrine and the philosophy from women wanting only a certain few quote-unquote rights and equality to attacking the man and blaming men for all the ills of society and actively seeking to destroy the family, destroy parental rights of men, destroy marriages, steal men's wealth through divorce. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not owed anything from a man's going to work. You're not owed that money just by being married. The courts used to be not involved in marriage whatsoever. Now they are. We need to destroy the third wave of feminism. You can still have watch groups to make sure that people are treating women equally, but I'm sorry to tell you, women make more than men. I know you hear the exact opposite. Women have more rights than men. Women have dominate the divorce and family courts, completely dominated. And this is through feminist lobbyists. We need to destroy all of that. Then marriage would be fixed and divorce. I think once you destroy the third wave, a lot of the divorce stuff completely vanishes. The divorce rate would go down necessarily because women are then not told that they need to expect Prince Charming and the Hulk and the Dangerous Boy all in the same man. And if you don't find it, you need to divorce him. That's all third wave feminism. If we destroy third wave feminism, we could then accept and talk about 16-year-olds getting married and living happily ever after and getting all of their sexual frustrations out, which nature puts upon humans. A lot of us, we want to deny that we're a natural being. No, we're humans. We're above everything. No, you're not. You're a part of nature, and it is put in you to procreate, to reproduce, to create children. And if we lowered society's acceptance of when it is okay to be married, I'm not talking about legally, I'm talking about socially acceptable. How many people, do you think a 16-year-old should have the ability to get married on their own without their parents' consent, what have you, blah, 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 blah. We could talk about the logistics of the economics of it, that 16-year-olds don't have money, but 18-year-olds don't have money either. 21-year-olds now don't have money. In this economy, under Obama, 22, 25 don't have money. And if you are an actual financier, you understand that a college kid graduating with $150,000 in debt does not have money, and you telling them to get out the house, you're shooting your own children in the foot. Until we can, and I'm saying, let's not think about that part of it. Do you think 16-year-olds should have the ability to, on their own, get married? I think if they have a healthy understanding of marriage, if you have a real discussion about sex, and what is expected in the bedroom through a sexual teacher, whether that be a doctor, therapist, or whether it be from an actual concubine type, prostitute type person, which I think is a much better thing than a therapist who's going to say, oh, this is about love and blah, blah. No, it's not. It's about pleasing the partner. And the male prostitute or the female prostitute who is a sexual teacher, who understands about that, and who has some experience in it, can convey that to the boy or the girl. It would create a much better marriage, a much happier marriage. You have no idea how many, you know, I talk a lot and women talk to me because I'm good looking. But they have told me they are very upset when men don't know what they're doing in the bedroom and don't look to please them in the bedroom. Oh, they please the man, but they don't get any pleasure in return. Isn't that the argument all the time that you always hear, right? The guy orgasmed, but the woman didn't orgasm. We need to be mature enough to talk about this sort of stuff. If we instill this into the teenager and not just have, oh, this is where babies come from. That's it. That's your discussion. That's your discussion about sex. This is where babies come. That's it. You don't have a month-long discussion and instructional. No, you don't. And some people say, oh, the school should teach that. The school is not going to teach you how to give pleasure to your wife. They wouldn't think of it. They wouldn't dream of it. That is for the parent to do. And it was the father's responsibility to bring the young man, the son, into learning all of this sort of stuff. That's why he was taken to the prostitutes for the prostitute to teach him that. And then women abolished it because they thought it was terrible and blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, you then add it to the complete destruction of American society and the Institute of Marriage. It's not about this homosexual stuff. It's about all of these things all coming into this big, huge web of destroying marriage. You're not satisfied in bed, which then, of course, weighs upon the relationship. You did this to yourselves. And then you allow the church to tell you that it was terrible. Prostitution is terrible and prostitution, and we have it. In the rest of the world, you have people who do that. That's what they're for. They are sexual teachers. And I dare say they have a lower divorce rate than the United States. How about that one? That's a black eye for you, isn't it? Tell me what you think. Would you allow your 16-year-old to decide for himself or herself on their own that they're going to get married and you're just invited to the wedding? Thank you for watching the Shigemo Life Show.